Welcome to another breathtaking episode of the Show. We are two geeks who talk about everything. My name is Aaron, and I am joined by my cousin and co-host Landon.
Good day.
How we doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm Star Trek. I'm almost Star Trek trekked in it. Like I'm Trekkied. I'm all Trekkied up.
Give me my 20 years. I'm ready.
Well, let me tell you something real quick. I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, like on the PS5, like the
Uh-huh.
new Star Wars game. But then while I was doing that, because I'm grinding against some bosses to get skill points, because I always like to be OP when I'm playing, and just kind of dominate. So while I'm grinding, I have Star Trek playing, and I'm of course watching. We finished three, and I'm watching four, and it's like it feels wrong. Like I feel like I'm doing something wrong, because I'm watching Star Wars. I'm playing a Star Wars game, and I have Star Trek going on, and I feel like somebody's mad. Like somebody's mad at me. You know, Luke.
You're
Lucas
you're
is like,
crossing your fandoms.
yeah. Lucas is like, what's going on here? Something's off.
It's a
You know,
disturbance in the force.
Roddenberry's like turning in his grave. He's like, no, I
This
won't
is
allow.
illogical.
Yeah, this is yeah. Is it loud? I mean, I
I
know it's
mean,
wrong for someone to like say, "Man, I hope Luke Skywalker kills those Klingons." It's like if somebody does that, you're just like, "I will destroy you. I will hop through this screen." But if you like enjoy both and you're knowledgeable, is that tolerated?
there's nothing wrong with having a fandom that goes through multiple circles, man. I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars. Don't ask me to pick which one I like better because,
Okay.
there's good and bad with both. I
But you would
like
never
DC.
wear two things. Like you wouldn't wear Mandalorian pants and then a Spock shirt. Like you wouldn't do
Oh, no,
that. That
no, that's like
wasn't
wearing
appropriate.
stripes with polka dots. You
Yeah, you
just don't
can't do
do that
that.
kind of thing.
No, that'd be wrong.
I'm at heart, I'm a DC fan, but I love a Marvel movie.
Me too.
Every time, every new TV show that comes on Disney Plus, good or bad, I'm still watching it.
Yeah.
I can be fans of both.
And there have been both.
Right, so, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing I think you can't be a fan of is Twilight. Okay, let's just be honest.
Not anymore. Now that the phase is over, can we all just agree? Thank you. Let's be done.
Vampires are not sparkly. Okay, when you put a vampire in the sun, they explode, they
Yes.
burn, they die.
Or melt or ash. Yes.
That's it. Okay.
Anyway, okay.
Okay. Today we are continuing our journey into the final frontier with Star Trek for the Voyage Home. What are your overall impressions? Now, you've said that in the past this is not one of your favorites, but revisiting it, you've had sort of a change of heart after watching it back to back with three.
Yeah, that's true. So, like, originally, my thought process has been it's hokey, it's silly, it serves the '80s, and it's just, it's almost like what a movie does. People are like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if, you know what I mean? And I was so into the plot, and I really go. I don't even watch one when I normally watch them. I'm just gonna watch two, three, and six. You know what I mean? I'm just like, boom, that's my originals. But I still end up watching them and want to watch them. I'm like, but I haven't really watched them back to back. This kind of forced me because we were gonna do two back to back episodes for our podcast. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and watch three and four. And when I did, and got and started watching four. I was like, actually, this fits because they've got the bird of prey, the Klingon vessel. They're I mean, maybe the humpback whales is kind of silly, and obviously it's very weighted towards like save the humpback whales, and it's almost like watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3. You're let's save the animals.
In
But
the arms of the angel.
there you go. I mean, but watching them together was cool because going through after David dies with Kirk and that just and the whole Spock wait thing to go into this was like it was funny. It was funny watching Spock be the way Spock was, or or Jim using curse words, or even even Chekhov being like, "Well, the nuclear vessels,"
Right. With a cop just watching him. We're in the middle of the Cold War here. You got a Russian looking for nuclear vessels.
I love the
Come
cop
on,
doesn't do
man.
anything. The cop's just like,
Yeah. It's like, do I call this in or what?
Oh, no, I enjoyed it far more. What do you what have you thought? Have you always liked it, or have you I mean,
I've always loved it.
okay.
I've always subscribed to that theory where, they say the even numbered Star Wars or Star oh my gosh, I just did it.
You
The
said
even
Star
numbered
Wars.
Star Trek
Fine.
movies are the good ones, and the odd numbered Star Trek movies are the bad ones.
Yeah.
Um, Now 3 I feel like is almost the exception to that rule. But I've always thought that 3 is weaker than 2 and 4. Like
But 3 is
for
part of
whatever reason,
2, so you can still count 3 as part of 2. It's 2B.
basically two and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
Now 4, I've always enjoyed 4. And I think it's because, as a kid, I watched that when I think that's the first Star Trek movie I saw in the theater.
Yeah.
I was old enough to go see it in the theater with dad. Um, and so it's got that kind of nostalgia for me. And again, it's got that lighter tone, it's got that comedic approach to everything because you've got this fish out of water story with all of these characters that are from what 400 years in the future.
Oh, is that how
uh
long it is? Okay.
it's three or
I
four
wonder.
hundred years, I
I
can't remember
wonder.
how long it is. 23rd century, so 300 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And they come back to the late 20th century and they don't know how to do anything.
Right.
And so it's hilarious to see them interacting with people from the 80s and to see everybody's got their task, right? It's really well written to give everybody something to do.
Yeah.
Like they just happen to need certain things. All right, so first we're trying to save these whales and take them back to the future so that the whales can communicate with this probe from who knows where that's somehow destroying the earth.
Yeah.
So that's goal number one. Goal number two, we need to figure out a way to get them onto this bird of prey. And so that means we need to come up with a way to build a giant fish tank and get these whales in there. So that gives Bones and Scotty something to do, and Sulu because he's the one that's got to transport all of the plexiglass, and then you've got the issue with the dilithium crystals that power the ship. They've run down the going doing slingshot going around the sun and going back in time. That was a little too
That'll do it.
much.
That'll do it.
And so you got to figure out a way to regenerate those crystals.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness we've got nuclear powered uh, subs and ships in the Navy in America that are parked right outside of San Francisco.
Right.
Wow, we can go get the radiation from that, and somehow that'll rebuild those crystals. It's like,
Yep.
is it the
Putting you to the
Deus Ex
job.
Machina? You just you have this convenient plot point that's going to fix everything, and we'll get back to the future.
And then it'll all
Everything's
work
going to be
out.
fine.
Yeah, yeah, and here's the thing too, like Superman the movie preceded this, right?
By
And
many
so
years.
yeah, yeah. So I think we all know that the way to go back in time is you have to go around in the opposite direction many, many, many fast times. You don't go around the sun. You don't do that. No, no, no. They needed to go, and so if they had done that multiple times, that could have taken them back. That would have done it.
It would have taken a lot longer to do that though.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah, because Superman did that, and all those times he flew around the planet, it really only turned time back like 10 minutes.
Oh, that's a good point. It would take a lot
Yeah,
longer to go 400
yeah.
years.
So,
Yeah, no,
um,
that's fair.
all right. So we talked about the plot a little bit. What are your thoughts on this storyline? Is it too preachy in the whole save the whales thing? Like, are they being heavy
Um,
handed with that, or is it just right?
again, ag- again, I think in other shows, and Star Trek has done this in other shows where they get very preachy without naming them or the topics that they're preachy about. But this one, the whole premise of Star Trek and thinking about Gene Roddenberry and is about like getting past humanity's um, strife with one another
Mhm.
and being able to find solutions, even scientifically, finding solutions that that take away the need for that animosity. You're taking away the need for money. You're taking away the need because of having an energy source. You're taking away for a need for food. You're taking away the need for these things that cause people to war against one another, at least on your own planet. And and I feel like because of Gene Roddenberry and because of that very thought process of Star Trek overarchingly across the series and movies, you get away with it a little bit more than you would in something else. Like where you can say, hey, really, we are like hurting the resources. And there was more and more scientific studies being done about pollution and the effects of the Industrial Revolution upon the Earth, and it was a timely topic to talk about, like how we're destroying the world, but also how we're destroying the species. So to me, this movie gets a pass maybe more than Guardians of the Galaxy does. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
yeah.
For trying to do it because this has been built in. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was kind of out of it wasn't out of nowhere because you knew Rocket was, but it was just like it was that felt more forced. Not that it's not a valid topic, and I'm thankful for them calling it out. It's just this was more in line. It's in line with Roddenberry, right?
Yeah. I agree. Um, so we already mentioned too that this is kind of a fish out of water situation for our crew. So you get a lot of humor with the Enterprise crew interacting with 20th century people. Do you have any like favorite funny moments or culture clash kind of scenes that we see throughout the movie?
I think I always laugh at the part where Spock where the Spock cusses. That's just the funniest thing to me. Or the part where Jim, the guy honks at him, he's like, "On the road, dumbass," or whatever. And he's like, "Well, dumbass to you, sir," or whatever. I just those are so funny to me. I just or the guys on the subway and he's doing his music. He's a punk rocker, right? He's just like, "And I hate you," and Spock just like, "Choose a thing." The guy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so good. Oh man. What about you?
yeah. I do like that moment on the bus, with Spock taking out the punk. Um, and yeah, you pointed out Spock trying to cuss. It's he doesn't get it right. Like he's using swear words in the wrong places,
Right.
and it just winds up being funnier than it is. I don't know, intimidating, I guess.
Well, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2 when when John is teaching him to say things. It's like it's funny. It's a funny
Yeah,
thing.
no problemo.
I one part that's always been interesting to me, or that I liked about it was when Bones is in the hospital, right? And the woman has kidney dialysis, and he's
Uh-huh.
like, "Why don't we just get leeches out?" You know what I mean? He's just like, "This is the
It's a
dark
Spanish
age."
Inquisition.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, him getting offended by our modern day medicine
Right.
was so great. And she's like, he heals the woman just with his little thing,
Gives
you know.
no, it gives her a pill, and then it
Oh, the
grows a new
pill.
kidney
That's
for
right.
her.
That's right. That's right. Oh, you have to say it again because you were sing-songing. So the Zoom didn't hear you. Say what'd you say again?
The old lady, she says, "The doctor gave me a pill, and I grew a new kidney."
It's a medical marvel.
Oh man,
Um,
it's so great.
there were parts though that like when Chekhov gets hurt and he falls, that was like a oh, uh-oh, because that was serious. You know,
Oh yeah.
it looked like he was in bad shape.
Well, and if he'd been left in 20th century medicine, they would have cut his head open.
What did you think about Catherine Hicks and her role? Do you like Catherine Hicks as an actress?
I mean, all I know her from is this and Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven, right? She's in Child's Play.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Man.
So she's got kind of a piercing, like she's like the Laura Linney of the 80s for me. Like just it's just so like oh, or like Claire from Lost. I'm just like it's that voice, it's that complainy like oh. And Jim looks like he's gonna have like a romance with her. I mean, he's like, he's like, being Jim, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. She's she goes back to the 23rd century with the Enterprise crew,
Right.
and but you never hear from her again.
No,
Like
no.
there's no mention of her
I know.
ever. She's just gone. I mean, and it makes sense for her to be there because now that we've got whales again, she's the only person who knows how to, I guess, care for them. Um,
I'm sorry. It's kind of silly. I mean, they have like the library of all history. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, like she's going to tell about how it's not like she's like nursing them and holding them in her hands. You know what I mean? It's just, you know,
yes,
whatever,
you can't just let them swim in the bay.
no,
Yeah, you can, and we're going to.
they have to be petted twice a day, you know.
This is George and Gracie. They respond to their names.
Yeah.
Uh, now,
By the way,
you
how are
know,
humpback whales doing now? I just think about this movie and the impact, and I'm just like, I actually have no idea. They're not extinct now, right? We do have
no,
humpback.
no, they're still around.
Thank
Yeah,
heavens for
right.
this movie. It's like all the whalers were just like, you know what? I need to rethink my life choices.
Yeah, I think there was one of those question of the week book that I've got where with
Yeah.
the or the book of questions. One of them on there that I think I had one time was something about how important is it to save the whales, and my answer to it when I did it on my blog, I was like, if Star Trek 4 taught us anything, it's incredibly important to save the whales because what happens if the whales go extinct and then this alien ship shows up and destroys our planet because they can't talk to the whales anymore? Save the dang whales, y'all.
So humpback whales are a least concern. So they are, as of 2018, um, they're a least concern with a worldwide population of about 135,000 whales, of which 84,000 are mature individuals, and an increasing population trend. So Star Trek 4, you
Save the
did it.
whales.
You saved the whales
Good job,
single-handedly.
Leonard Nimoy. Good job.
You did it, Spock.
Uh, so we've got again we've got William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, both shining in their roles as Kirk and Spock. Uh, how would you judge their chemistry in this film? Because Spock has he's come back from the dead, and he's a little off,
Yeah,
right?
he's off. Yeah,
He
he
is
doesn't have his humanity really going.
right.
Jim's
He is
constantly trying to convince him to stop calling him Admiral.
right.
He's just like,
Jim,
Jim,
remember
don't you
Jim?
remember? Remember? I'd probably, if it were me, I'd like grab his face. Like I wouldn't do it right, but I'd be like, remember? Sorry, too soon? Sorry, just kidding. You know?
So
Oh,
yeah, Leonard Nimoy he directed this one as well, like he did the first one. Do you notice any difference between like can you tell that he has grown as a director between Star Trek 3 and 4?
it's hard because like I feel like 3 was well done, and it was such a different type of movie when it comes to like a drama. It was very much an action drama,
Hmm.
and very little humor, versus this one was riddled with humor. And so if we're saying like as a director, like was he showing his versatility and his ability to infuse humor, yeah, but I think it's kind of an apples and oranges kind of a thing for me because of it being different types. What about you?
You're right. That's a good comparison, the whole apples and oranges thing, because uh in Star Trek 3, he's barely in it,
Yeah,
right? Like he's able to be behind the camera and not have to worry about acting
right,
up until that last scene, basically.
right.
But then in this one, he is probably in what 70% of the scenes in the
Yeah,
movie. So it's more important for him. He's not just directing the rest of the cast; he's directing himself as well. Um, I think he did a great job as far as putting this together. And I mean, he went on to do other movies. I know he did 3 Men and a Baby,
yes.
um,
Which nobody
which
knows that. Like
yeah,
that's
people
so like
forgot.
a
I had
Spock.
forgotten that until I watched that recently, and I was like, Leonard Nimoy, really?
but not a lot of movies, right? I mean, was it
He
a
did a
lot of movies?
handful. Uh, 3 Minute Baby is the only other one I know of for sure. Um,
Yeah.
but I know he's done others. I know he's done others. Um, all right, we already talked about Catherine Hicks, so I'm going to skip this part of my notes. Although it is interesting to see she's both her and Reverend Camden. What's the actor's name?
Who?
He was in the motion picture.
Oh, that guy
Stephen
from
Collins.
right,
Stephen
right, from
Collins.
Seventh Heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So
were in there together.
you got
Yeah.
both of the Camdens making appearances in Star Trek.
Do you know for the
One,
longest time I thought that she was like the daughter of actor Ronnie Cox because I thought they looked so much alike. You know Ronnie Cox, he's the one from Total Recall, the older guy. He was a RoboCop. You know what I mean? He was the bad guy, the old man bad guy. Not the old
yeah,
man,
yeah, yeah. I know who
but
you're talking about.
he was also the bad guy in Total Recall. But
Yeah.
they look like similar. I just for the longest time thought that she was like his daughter, but they're completely different actors, I think. So
Um, did you know that behind the scenes, Eddie Murphy was almost in this movie?
what? Oh, just as like like a like to be a character or like
Yeah.
to be
So before they cast Catherine Hicks, before they wrote her character into the script, that character was going to be uh, Eddie Murphy. He was going to be their kind of connection to the 20th century. Um, but apparently there were clashes over the script. Eddie Murphy apparently was a big Star Trek fan and wanted to do it, but it didn't work out.
really.
Yeah. I don't feel like there's any of that behind the scenes drama. At least it doesn't come through on screen. I feel like the movie is relatively seamless in its final product.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like so. I mean, and then the resolution, I think the one plot thing that I would say that's overarching to it is this resolves them being in trouble for blowing up the Enterprise. You know what I mean? Pretty
Right.
much saving, Earth will do that. But I mean that's really all it takes. But the Klingons, and this is helpful because you get what's going to happen in six later. The context you need because they really they use this against him. You know what I mean? Ultimately, but I feel like it sets the stage for that. The Klingons have come in. You got that actor. Who's that actor that played the lawyer guy? Because he was really a cool.
I can't
He,
remember who the actor is, but
but he's
he's a Klingon ambassador.
yeah, but he's done a lot of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're coming. They're basically wanting like to hold Kirk accountable, pretty much probably take him with them and let them have their own people after him. But he gets out of it, right? Because they're like, he's already got like all these things with Starfleet, so we're going to hold him. And then, of course, there's the danger that comes. They leave, they go save, the world, and they come back and they're fine, right? All's good, all's done,
Right.
right? And but it still kind of leaves a little bit of a there's a thing. Now, obviously, in six, as we'll talk about later, that's a whole nother reason why he gets framed and that happens for him to go there. But it leaves kind of this taste of Kirk and Klingons. That's not done. That's
Yeah.
not done. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to
Well,
get to that
and
later.
the ambassador flat out says there will be no peace as long as Kirk lives.
Yeah,
And it's really I don't want I'm gonna say unfair, even though I know life isn't fair. Things don't work out the way they should more often than not. But it's not fair for this ambassador to come to uh the the president of the Federation and be like, Kirk is responsible for this, and this,
yeah, yeah,
and you know the Klingons we want his head.
yeah,
But at the same time, Sarek is there to point out, uh, didn't your Klingon commander kill Kirk's son? Do you deny this? We deny nothing.
We did not, I had nothing. I thought such a great
It
line.
they're you know, I mean, it's like the pot calling the kettle black, all right? The Kirk didn't instigate any of this stuff going on with the Klingons. He was responding to the Klingons.
Right,
They came in, they destroyed the Grissom, the science ship that was there to study the planet.
right,
Are the Klingons not being held responsible for that?
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
so it's
it's
really unfair
yeah,
to have this as a sticking point that this entire species of alien wants this one human being dead before they would move forward in peace talks with the Federation. That's
yeah,
dumb.
yeah.
But I get it. You have to have that drama. You have to build up that suspense for a future movie. But all right, well, in your opinion, what kind of legacy does Star Trek 4 leave behind? It was at the time a critical and commercial success, so it helped to revitalize the franchise's popularity. Then, of course, 5 came along. But what kind of legacy do you think this one, aside from saving the whales?
Well, I mean, for me, like, obviously, I'm fresh on revisiting my feelings on the matter, but, I guess I would think that you find later on in other, adaptations of Star Trek or series that they have, there are moments that throw back or bring characters, and this is in Next Generation, and this is in Discovery, this is in a whole bunch of different ones where or Strange New Worlds, or it brings characters into present day. And I think because of that reception, how popular that was, that kinda continued on because people were like, "I like to see what these characters are like if they were in our world right now," you
Right.
know? And so
Yeah.
in all fairness, the Star Trek show had episodes or right, where they went back to they had gone back in time, right, in one of the
Oh,
episodes?
sure. Yeah.
Right? And so, it's not like that was foreign, but the idea of putting them into our present day, I think became a very popular fan favorite, ongoingly. So I would say that's probably its biggest legacy is being able to have an impact on film in Star Trek, but even possibly even other, things as well where people are like, "I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that come here," you know?
Right. Yeah. It is it that does make it a fun kind of trope, I guess. Because they definitely did it on Voyager, where they
Right.
came back to the I don't know if it was the late 90s, early 2000s. Um, and then Picard more recently uh went back to just a couple of years ahead of us in our future, like just the 2025, 26, something like that.
Well, it's Strange
Um,
New Worlds, Kirk and,
that's right, yeah. Kirk
James
and
Kirk and,
and
New Sung,
yeah, Noonien
Noonien Sung,
Singh. What's her
yeah,
name? Alana? No,
whatever.
Alara.
But
I can't
anyway,
remember.
they went back
Great
and they
show, by the way. Love those characters.
love them. Just can't remember
Um,
their names.
any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, no, but as we eventually pursue, and we'll probably do some other ones in between here and there, but as we eventually pursue 5 to get to 6, I just, I've gotta have some preparation to get through 5 to get to 6. So,
Yeah. Um, more of that you've got in that glass there probably will help.
yeah, for sure.
All right, well, that's about all the time we have for this classic Star Trek adventure. Be sure to let us know your perspectives in the comments. We definitely want to hear what you think of Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. And if you've missed our previous discussions on Star Trek, remember you can check out the links in the description below and hit those previous episodes of the Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you'll be notified whenever we post something new. And until next time, have a great whatever it is, wherever you are.
See ya.